Hello, welcome to the Education Podcast, where we discuss critical issues shaping the education sector today. I am Salam Amo. In this episode, we address the urgent topic of school safety in Nigeria, a country where educational institutions have faced relentless attacks over the past decade. From the tragic massacre of 29 boys at Buniyadi to the harrowing abductions of over 270 girls at Chibok in 2014, as well as recent kidnappings in Niger, Zamfara, Kaduna, and Katsina, the security of schools is under severe threat. We're honored to host Dr. Hammed Abodunrin, the commander of the National Safe School Response Coordination Center, NSSRCC, at the National Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. With his expertise and leadership, Dr. Abodunrin will share insights on the measures being implemented to protect students and teachers, the challenges faced, and the future of safe schooling in Nigeria. Join us for this vital conversation on safeguarding our educational environments and ensuring a secure future for our children. Hello, Dr. Abodunrin.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. So, what inspired the establishment of the NSSRCC?
The Safe School initiative itself was a product of what you just said, the opening of this your opening speech. It was as a result of the incidences that led to attacks in our various schools, particularly the Chibok girl kidnap of 2014. Subsequent on that, conferences were held internationally to have programs for safe schools all over the world. It is not peculiar to Nigeria. And by 2015, a conference was held in Oslo, where Nigeria, as a country, was participated. As at today, 180 countries they have keyed into a safe school project worldwide, and Nigeria is one of them. Now, by 2019, moving forward, by 2019, the president of Nigeria signed Safe School Declaration, which is a global declaration. And by signing that declaration, it means that the federal government has also committed Nigeria to start protecting our schools in a way that has not been done before. And by 2023, the National Safe School Response Coordination Center was established. Now, this is because it has been noticed that coordination was not there in the efforts in the past. So there should be a coordination where there will be a center where all stakeholders can meet. Now, at that center, you have representatives of all stakeholders, including the police, the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, the Department of State Service, and other people from the Ministry of Education. All stakeholders are there. So when there is any issue coming from any part of this country, it will be escalated to different stakeholders who will now go to their different agencies to take action. So that is the essence of that center. So the center is to coordinate activities aimed at secondary schools. Now, part of what we also do at the center is to register schools. The center has a website where all schools in Nigeria are expected to be registered. But we have been doing that since the commencement of operations at the center. Now, the center didn't really commence full operations until late last year. But since then, that we have been doing that. Besides that, the center has been training various stakeholders as well, including the personnel of Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps itself, the police, the hunters, vigilantes, and all stakeholders. We have been participating in various training or the other. Now, the Safe School project is a project that it's not limited to civil defense, but also for other agencies that I've mentioned. And every agency has a role to play in their different agencies, so that whatever we want to say at the center, it will not be new to them when they are also doing it. like I can assure you that the police have also started training their own personnel too, so that they understand what Safe School Project is all about. So these are the things that we have been doing at an NSSRCC. Now, the establishment of that center at Civil Defense was headed by the fact that in 2021, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps conducted a vulnerability survey to look at the state of our schools in Nigeria. Now, as at that time, 81,545 schools were surveyed, and almost 75 or more percent of that school were discovered to have any form of security. No fence, no security guard, nothing. Probably this is as a result of the fact that, of course, nothing was happening in the past. Even when people were thinking of building schools, they would never thought of having fence around that school. So the problem is still there, and we are sensitizing people, community engagement and all that. So those are the things that we do at the center because of what led to the creation of the center in the first instance.
How does the agency collaborate with schools and communities in ensuring safety?
Yes, one of the key collaborative efforts is the fact that the center registers all schools. Now, there's a website for the center where individual schools can go and register. And it does not cost anything. Just go to the website, open it, and then you will see a section where you should register your school. Now, registration is very, very important in this situation, because when you register your school, that website has been so designed that it will automatically geolocate your school. It will establish its coordinates. So if there is anything in the future that you want us to respond to, when we know your school, when we just see it on our register and we can locate it, even without asking anybody, because the location is already there. Apart from the address, the coordinates of the school is already there, established. As you are trying to register your school, the website has been so designed to ask you whether you are on the premises of that school. If you click yes, then it will geolocate the exact place where the school is. So with simple Google Map, you can respond without even asking anybody, where the address is. So that's one of the collaborations. Another collaborative effort is the fact that we send people, particularly our female squad and members of the State Response Coordination Center, to various schools to go and build their capacity in security consciousness and security awareness, and what they can do in case they are facing one security challenge or the other. That's another thing. Again, we have been collaborating with these schools and the communities that host them. Schools are also hosted by various communities. So we are back on community engagement so that they can know their role, the roles they can play in ensuring that schools around them are safe. Now, we have also started another collaborative effort by trying to bring out to actually summarize all these tips in a monograph. It's just will be a pocket-sized book where you have what it takes to identify threats. I mean, threats are not really the real crime or the real attacks. They are threats. So when you identify them, you know how to avoid them. For instance, courtesan in school, for instance, you will know that monograph will explain to students, teachers, and everybody that goes through it to know how does courtesan operate. So you listen to certain slangs, you know that this slang belongs to certain courts. So you avoid it. The issue of rape, the issue of defilement, the issue of kidnapping. There are always, for every crime that you see, there are always what we call early warning. So when you notice that early warning, you will know what to do. So that's another huge collaborative effort that we are embarked on to ensure that our schools are safe. Again, the one that we couldn't prevent, if it happens, then we have to move to the school for rescue operations. And when victims are rescued, they are also rehabilitated. Some will need to take to the hospital. Some there will be need for counseling. We talk to them because of the trauma and all that. We have experts from the various departments, particularly from the Ministry of Education, who will talk not only to the victims but to the parents and all that, so that they can be calmed down. People in those days, and even up to now, they think that they can use schools to also claim land. Now they go and build schools where the land or the space is controversial. So when there is any attack, from probably the two communities are fighting, schools become victim. So if those schools are detected, we recommend to the federal government. The aim of the federal government is to make sure that every Nigerian child goes to school. So if your area becomes so controversial that you always experience conflict, the federal government is ready to move children from that place entirely to where is safe. All you need to do is to cooperate with the federal government to take your children off that place to somewhere else where it is safer for them to learn. So these are some of the collaborative efforts that we have been doing with schools.
Yes, sir. I just wanted you to clarify this issue of relocation. There was a recent case of that. Over 200 schools were said to be relocated to the cities in parts of Kaduna State as a result of insecurity. And one would have thought that perhaps this agency would coordinate in ensuring that these schools are safe in their original locations, because as a result of this relocation, some students will no longer have access to education.
But the essence of that relocation is to ensure that education is not disrupted in any way. Now, these are some of the challenges that you encounter as you try to solve one problem. You encounter some others because whatever you want to do to ensure sanity, to ensure safety, to ensure protection, whatever efforts you want to do, all those efforts require full cooperation of the beneficiaries. Now, what the Kaduna government state is trying to do is to ensure that if they know that there are some places that are controversial, there are a lot of conflicts around that place. They don't want to keep on, put the lives of the children and teachers and other members of the community at risk. They want them to be where it could be safer. For instance, look at Kuriga incidents where 137 children were kidnapped. In that school, it was only that primary school that was there before. The secondary school was somewhere else. But they had to move the secondary school to that place so that it could be a bit safer. Now, if not at that, they still struck. And it is because we don't in that place, there is even no network. So help couldn't come immediately. So these are the things that government now want to avoid by moving people to where it is safer, where communication will also still be easy and all that. Now, but if people are not cooperating, it will be difficult. Let me also share one experience with you. There was a particular school somewhere in Plateau State where federal government really wanted to move the entire student from that school because of incessant conflict in that area. But the community members were thinking that probably they moved their school from that place, it is going to pave way for people that will take their land. So people need to understand this thing, that whatever government is doing is going to be in the best interest of the children. And that is what the federal government is doing. Now, if they cooperate fully, going to address what your fear, if there is enough cooperation, if your school is moved to a place, then the state government will be ready to also take care of the children that they are moving to a safer place. But we shouldn't resist it, because if we resist it, it will also mean that our children will not go to school. That is the implication. So I don't think there will be any problem with that. Now, the National Safe School Response Coordination Center is just a center located in Abuja, but we have state centers who are also working. So when they are doing their relocation and all that, of course, the center at the state is also going to be fully part of it to give necessary advice and on what to do. Now, the project, the Safe School project, is expected to, it is not a federal government project 100%. Don't forget that a large percentage of schools, if not more than 78% of schools in Nigeria are even run by state government. But the federal government is only trying to coordinate. So that is why we should have state centers. It is expected that states will donate centers. But as I speak to you now, only a few states have donated centers where they can also be coordinating activities of response in their states. But many states have also given commitment. Many are on the process of also having their centers and get them equipped, so that if anything happens, within 5-10 seconds, we'll be able to hear at the national center, and help will come in no distant time, because information is very key in what we are doing. I mean, timely information, to be specific.
So what are the key threats to school safety in Nigeria?
Quite a number of them. Even let's start from the school premises. There is bullying. Of course, you also witnessed a video that went viral of recent. It's a very serious threat in many schools. There is courtesan. I mentioned that. There is rape and defilement. In fact, there are some teachers who are pedophiles. We've had calls to arrest a headmaster who was trying to bring bad things with his pupils. So it's as bad as that. So again, you have the issue of the threat from outside. People going to school. There's always you recall so many things in school, including burglary, including the people who enter laboratory and cut away so many things. They will enter classes. They will remove. In fact, in some schools, they remove their iron sheets. It's as bad as that. That they will climb and remove iron sheets. So they vandalize gates. In some schools, they even steal gates. They steal anything that is iron. In some schools, you have a situation where equipment, in fact, just simple things like fan, like TV, and all that they will enter and cut such away. Now, going to a big one, of course, you have also cited examples of how all these bandits, hoodlums, terrorists who want to infiltrate school and cut so many things away. Now, the fact that many schools are not protected, particularly by simple fence, is also a very big, it's a huge threat. Now, those things are human. Now, when you go to environmental issues, you have some schools that, being affected by the nature itself. You see, there could be a rainstorm that would blow away everything, and they may not be able to also repair it. Some are getting damaged bit by bit. Maybe one sheet is removed today, another one will follow tomorrow. At times you see every rainfall will pull down the fence and all that. And if children or students are there then, or even teachers, they could be injured. So quite a number of all these things are there. Some schools are so big that the occupants cannot manage it. Now you see part of the school that is so bushy that you have reptiles, you have things that are dangerous to the lives of children and the teachers and other occupants of that school. Snakes can crawl in and all that. Those are the issues of environment. That is when there's no proper maintenance. Now, large percentage of schools, if not, in fact, very huge one, they don't really have lighting device at night. You enter the school is going to be dark. As you are passing by, you know that this is a school. You can see lights in the environment, in the buildings around, but the school itself is not lighting up, and so on and so forth. These are so many threats. Now, if you now move to external threats include conflicts in the community. Many schools are sited on controversial land. That people just use it to claim land. They just use the school to claim land. So when there is problem, the community A and B, when they are fighting, the school will become victims. We have quite a number of them of examples on that schools have to close because people are fighting, because they locate it at the boundary in the first instance. It's a huge threat. Community conflict is a huge threat to schools as well. Again, you have these hoodlums, the bandits, the kidnappers, who would infiltrate school and cut away children and their teachers in many cases. That one is a very huge threat. And those are the ones that cannot be prevented are the ones that, those examples that you have that you have seen. But I can also tell you that for everyone that we have seen that came to the light, there are quite a number of them that have been prevented. In fact, just a few weeks ago, about 1 or 2 weeks ago, a school was invaded in Benue State, and they wanted to, as usual, take away as many students as possible before it was repelled, and one of our personnel was even shot. He's still in the hospital. So there are quite a number of those things that you prevent, but you cannot come out and start talking about how you prevented it. There was another school somewhere in Taraba who the man said he didn't want his wife to be employed by the school, and before they could sack the woman, he invaded the school with his fellow colleagues that are hunters and all that. There are quite a number of all those things that go on every now and then. But what we have been trying to do is to ensure that so when you repel one, when you prevent one, it shows them, it shows them that government is not sleeping, and that is why they will never even attempt to even go back to that place. So talking about threats, there are quite a number of threats, but they will just remain at threat level as the government is very serious about containing all those ones.
So what measures have the agency implemented to protect students and staff from violence and abductions?
One, insecurity in protection. You have 3 issues. You try as much as possible to deny, hoodlums or anything or threats. You don't let it happen. At times you deter. Then at times, if you cannot deny, you cannot deter. If it is happening, then you delay. These are the activities that we have been doing. Now, denying them, these hoodlums, or denying crime and criminality in schools from happening is by, one, ensuring regular patrol, because there's no way we can deploy personnel to all schools in Nigeria. As I speak to you today, we have around 55,000, 181 schools, primary and secondary. Of these, about 98,000 primary schools, and the rest secondary schools. Now you have universities. You have close to 70 for federal universities, and there are quite a number of other schools. We are talking about the polytechnics, we are talking about national colleges of education, and some other specialized schools. Everywhere that education is taking place. So it's quite, it means that we will try to deploy individuals to over 200,000 places, which is not feasible for anybody. Now, what we do is to establish patrols at particularly those areas that are suspected that are very risky, so that if anything is going to happen at all, help will come in time. That's one which thing that we have been doing. And good enough, there is serious intelligence collaboration. It does not mean that it must be civil defense that will respond in a place. It is not compulsory that it must be police that will respond in a place. When we have the information, whichever agency, including the military, that is very close to that place is the one that will deploy. Now, for instance, if you look at the issue of kidnapping, whatever cannot be denied cannot be prevented. If it happens, and probably it is these insurgents or banditry, whatever, the military will come in and they will go into the forest and ensure that whatever happens, those kidnaps are rescued. So it's a joint effort. It's a joint operation. Now, what we do is to build capacities of students, teachers, lecturers, and other community members. At times when these things happen, they also become confused. They don't know what to do. So we have been trying to establish muster points in various schools that, okay, if anything happens, for us to be able to account for what happened, this is where you gather. And then when we have that, we know what we are looking for. Look at the unfortunate incident of Kuriga, for instance, because it's the most recent, that I keep on referring to it, where even the media reported that over 200 were kidnapped. It was because there was confusion. nobody really knew how many people were taken away. When in that school, those who were giving figures didn't know until things calmed down and we are able to see the exact figure of what. So we have been training them on. We have been building capacity on how to ensure calmness in case of accidents. You ensure calmness. You also know what to do. If there is need for you to hide, you will hide. If there is need for you to run, you will run. For instance, you can also, if you also do it wrongly, there will be problem. People who are trying to run, when you see gunmen and you are trying to run, you could be gunned down. So when you build your capacity, if you have a place where you can hide, you hide. If there is need for you to also plead, you plead, and so on and so forth. But running could be so risky because when you are running, the gunmen knew that they will know that as you are running, you are going to attract help. So they gun you down. So it could be risky. So, but we discovered that in cases, in such cases, people will just be trying to, they don't know what to do, confusion will set in. So one of the things that we are doing is to build a capacity in security conscience, security awareness, and how to respond to crisis, so that people will know how to. So we have been conducting drills on various threats. We conduct drills on rape. We conduct drills on kidnapping. We conduct drills on gun attack and all that for various schools. By the time we finish with the training of trainers of teachers, because we want to train teachers in various schools, so that they can go back and start mentoring these children on what to do to prevent themselves from being raped. There was a situation whereby a group of primary school children were brought to our command, and then we just gave them simple tips that to your nail is your red area. Don't allow any sex to touch it. 8-year-old girl got home, told his mom, "Mommy, we went to civil defense. They said from our neck to our area, no opposite sex to touch it." Mommy said, "Clap for yourself." But the girl said, "Mommy, our teacher has been touching my red area." The mom got interested. Lo and behold, it was even the headmaster of that school that had been molesting the girl. So when you build people's capacity, no matter what their age is, they will know what to do. It got to a situation whereby even male doctors, girls will not allow them to touch them. And that was why they have to go into the idea of good touch and bad touch. So if it is the doctor, well, we say it is good touch. So that means that even kids, they can pick lessons. So one of the things that we are doing is to build their capacity in those areas. Then we are also advocating that people should do their fences. That we have been talking about. We have been advocating that schools should be fenced. You know, I said we want to deny, deter, or delay. Now, if you have a fence around your school, that one can deny it. It can deter people. But if those two fails, when they invade your school, let us assume that the school in Kuriga, you know, I keep on mentioning Kuriga because it is the most recent. If the school in Kuriga is fenced, it will be very, very difficult to scale over 100 children over the fence. At least it will do a bit before people come. But when you leave everything open, it makes no access control. So it makes accessibility so easy for everybody. And personally, this is my personal opinion. Personally, I've been saying is that in rural areas, yes, things are very expensive now to buy cement, to start moving blocks and doing things. If it is so difficult, people can start biofencing. Biofencing is allowed, you know, where you will just plant fast-growing trees around your schools. When you also see people try to cut down those trees, for instance, there are trees that you can just plant the trunk today, cut the trunk and plant it today, and the next 3 months there will be leaves and all that to prevent anybody from entering anyhow. So if you now see anybody trying to destroy that fence, it is a warning signal too that why are you cutting down this thing? So it just for somebody to have information. Then we are also building the communities, their capacity, the community engagement in how to be vigilant. Now, people who go to school to kidnap people, they don't just jump there from the sky. When you see people moving in their numbers on motorcycle, carrying weapons, if they are hunters, we should still let us know. Again, people are also unconscious of, particularly look at the sellers. A woman selling bread. Somebody just came to you and is demanding for like 50 loaves of bread. Yeah, you should be happy that you are selling market, but you should be able to also call our attention to it that somebody just bought 50 loaves of bread from me now. Now, if we follow that person and we discover that he is taking it to probably a building site, you leave. But when you see somebody who is carrying 50, 70, 80 loaves of bread inside the forest, it will arouse your interest. Then we'll now, make inquiries further. Then these children too, because they are very honest and they can tell you whatever they see. You discuss to a primary school and you ask, have you ever seen gun? You discover that more than half of the class they are telling you that they have seen gun before. And when you ask them, where did you see it? You'll be thinking that they will say, we see it on the TV. No. You'll be hearing my uncle has, my father has, and all that. So now, if the uncle or father is a military person and is a uniform person, you can say, okay, that's all right. But if your father is a tailor, what is he doing with gun? So that one will also make. So when you build the capacity of these children too, they will know what is right to own and what is not right to own. So these are the things that we have been doing. But when you also do all that, do the fence, do the capacity building, and you still have problems, then kinetic approach will come in. All I've been talking about, building capacities, building fence, and they are not kinetic approach. But if there is the need for kinetic approach, then you now bring in, military with their weapons so that they can confront those people that are the invaders. But you cannot say because there is bullying, then you are now mobilizing soldiers to the school. Or you want to mobilize soldiers to school because there is the issue of courtesan and all that. So it is stage by stage. So every agency has its role to play. It is well defined. These are the things that we have been doing to curb attacks on schools.
What I wanted to ask was about how school personnel training is conducted to handle the security threats and emergencies. You've already touched on some aspects of it. I don't know whether there's any other thing you wanted to add to that.
What we have been doing, it has to be huge. It has to be simultaneous. There's no way you can train one school today and then you think that school will go to other school to start training them. So where we're actually going is to train teachers. We're going to empower teachers. There is one favorite story that I always relate when I'm talking about this. In Pakistan today, there's what they call Asan Day. Asan Day is a day in Pakistan that they remember every now and then, every year. Then who was Asan? Asan was just a 14-year-old boy. He saw some people coming to their school. He saw one man coming to their school and he said, this man dresses like a terrorist. Our teacher has told us that this is how terrorists dress. Our teacher has told us that this is how terrorists dress. I am going to confront him. His colleagues were dragging him back, but Hassan forced himself and confronted the man. As he was dragging with the man, the bomb went off. It killed Hassan. It also killed the man. Now, if that man should go into that school, so just like what happened in Bunyadi, so if that man should enter that school, so many teachers, children will also be killed. Now, I always say it, if that man should come to any school in Nigeria, our own child here will take him to the principal's office. Because we have not been telling them the risk and all that. I've been to many schools and I will discover that it was even a student that will open gate for me, the main gate. So what we are trying to do now is to build the capacity of teachers, and we are going to make it simultaneously. What we will do is we are going to train the trainer for few teachers who will also go back to probably want to train some teachers. Then they will go back to their schools and train more teachers. And every day, we have developed a monograph for these tips. Every day, 2-3 minutes on the assembly, they will educate their pupils before they go in. Monographs. They're just small pocket books with these tips. And then we have divided it into weeks. Week 1, if we are going to talk about the issue of rape, in week 1, rape will be discussed in all schools in Nigeria for that week. So children can also come out, students can come out and even discuss it among themselves. In our school today, they talk about rape. And we say, yeah, they did the same thing in our school. And we cannot achieve that until we build the capacity of teachers. So that is what we are about to do now. Apart from the part that we have been going to school to build the capacity one by one, but we know that before we will go around 155,000 plus schools, about 200 schools, it will be difficult. So when we build the capacity of teachers, we will train the trainers. The teachers will go back to their locality, train more teachers, so that everybody will be on the same page and children will know. Don't also forget that schools are not static. Now, if you train somebody in SS3 today, is going to leave the school. She's going to leave the school, and another person is coming from GS1, and probably somebody is not even old enough to start school. So it will be a rotating. By the time you will leave a secondary school or primary school in Nigeria, you will be a mini security conscious person. You will know. So we won't be behaving the same way we have been behaving. So there's no for us to start behaving differently, and that is what they do in some other countries. And again, we are trying to build a kind of relationship between members of the public and security operatives. We are trying to build the culture of being friendly with security operatives. That I said, you must have fallen victim of somebody harassing you. Maybe you are crying for biscuit as a boy of 5 or 6, and somebody is pointing to somebody, say, "See police." Now, if you have been doing that to our children, they will grow up thinking that anybody in uniform is a terrorist. He will deny me. So nobody want to talk to people in uniform. And up to now, you see many people. People don't really have courage to go and report anything. So, but when we build this culture of friendship with the children, when they need help, they can call for one. We conducted a survey, a research of recent, where we interviewed 100 children, and we were asking them questions. How many of you had a handshake with a policeman before? Out of them, only 2 of them said yes. And out of these 2, one of them is a daughter of a policeman. Now, we now ask, how many of you have had a handshake with a soldier before? All of them chorus, soldier about, when they don't like you, people who is afraid of you cannot seek help from you. So it's part of why we are trying to go to school and let them be friendly, so that when they are growing, and don't forget, look at what happened in some other clan. It is the children in some other clan like UK, like US, it is children that will use police to harass their parents. But here, it is even the parent that you still, they have all authority over the child, they will still want to harass him with people in uniform. So we have to change this culture. Otherwise, nobody will. That is why you see lack of trust. Because if I don't trust you as a kid, there's no way I can start trusting you as an adult. So when people don't trust you, there will be no cooperation. People don't want to cooperate with that. That's why you have not been seeing people reporting. They will tell you that if you report now, you don't know. We have been sloganeering. If you see something, say something. But I can tell you that people are now saying that if you say something, you will see something. So we have to. Those are the issues that we have to deal with. But then we are able to do with all that. I can assure you that the country will be as safe as anything. Not only schools. The culture of safety and protection and security will have gone round, and the country, the entire nation will be better for it.
And in what ways are you involving parents and guardians and generally the communities in enhancing the safety and security of schools?
Yes, that is why I told you that we are doing community engagement, because all schools are located in a community. All schools are located in particular communities. So they are not in an isolation. That is why we have been doing community engagement. We have been attending parent teachers association meetings where we give all the tips and what they need to do. We also educate them on what they have been doing that is jeopardizing the security of their children without knowing. For instance, many parents will buy bag for their children and they will put their name at the back. So anybody can just call Kola or Shehu or Agnes. The girl or boy will look back and that person can tell the little boy that your father said this or your mother said this. So when if you want for identification purposes, don't put the names of your child at the back of their bags. There are so many things that we do that jeopardize it. In many homes, somebody will knock door and you will see the father sitting down and say, "Hey, you go and open that door." That is not the best. We have been telling them that, look, identify whoever is coming to the house before you open the door, because we have seen so many situations where people will just open door for intruders, for invaders. Now we have been training the children, the parents too, to stop sending their young ones to go and put on the generator, to go and do this and do that. These are issues, and we have been telling them, even when your generator should go off, don't send children to go and look at what happened. Because if you know that your generator, for instance, is in good condition and you just refuel, then after about 30 minutes it goes off. You should not just jump into it. It is not even compulsory that you look at the generator immediately, because we have seen situations where intruders will just go to the generator and switch it off because they know you will come out. Immediately you come out, they start attacking you. So these are the things that we have been telling parents at their parent teacher association. Again, we have been talking to them on how not to use schools as their battlefield. You cannot be using school to claim land. If you know that a particular parcel of land is controversial, it shouldn't be on that land that you want to also establish school. Go and look for another land that is free from controversy where you want to establish the school. You cannot use school to claim land, because in the nearest future, when there will be attacks, the school will become the battlefield. Then we have the global practice is that we shouldn't also be using our schools as military bases. That probably there's a problem, then we want to pack the so in fact, as a matter of fact, we don't want uniforms in schools. That is the best, that is the global practice. So that for reasons apart from the fact that at times uniforms can disturb these children, hoodlums are also after security operatives, so they want to attack security personnel in the process. You know, children, teachers, lecturers are also they will also be falling victims. So that's why we say stay away from school, and that's why you see at the National School Response Coordination Center, we have this teacher that you see me putting on. We go there, we don't go there in full uniform and guns and whatever, because at times attackers they are not even targeting the school, they want to target security operatives. But in the crossfiring, these people can fall victim. So these are the things that we have been doing with the community and parents, so that the schools in their communities will be safe.
What's the importance of psychological support for students and staff in the context of school safety?
Yeah, very important. Very important, because when if a school is attacked and they take you, probably those kids that were carried away and they release them, if you don't talk to them and give them assurances, they will be permanently afraid. Now, research has shown that the fear of insecurity is worse than the insecurity itself. In fact, where you are sitting down to talk to me now, if you have the fear that place is not safe, you won't even come. You won't be able to do anything if they tell you that. In fact, you won't be able to go to either church or mosque if they tell you that it is not safe to go there. So you won't be able to do anything. But the real insecurity itself, if they are firing gun, you will know the direction where the gun is coming from, and you can also lie down. You will know what to do. But when you don't know what to do with fear, you don't know whether they are very close or whether they are too far. whether they have weapon, whether they don't have. If anybody just tell you that, in fact, we just hear that Boko Haram has entered town now, for instance, which part of the town? You don't know. You don't even know whether they are very close to your house or whether they are far from it. So we don't want people to be permanently, afraid. That is the essence of psychosocial engagement of victims and even non-victims, so that they can be assured that, look, this thing, they are not also from heaven. They can be trained, and they can't do it and do away with it. Then if we give you certain tips that we can also use, it will give, it's more or less of we are kind of empowering you to deal with the situation as it comes. So that's the essence.
How do you ensure compliance with safety protocols in certain areas, especially schools?
There is minimum standard for safe school published by the Ministry of Education. So we have been going to the various Ministry of Education at the state level, at the federal government level, at the state level, where inspections are paid into school and see whether these minimum standards are being followed. I think as time goes on, schools have a way of disciplining the hearing staff. They know what to do with the principal, they know what to do with the teachers. In federal school, there are security committees expected to have been established, and I know state government will be following those things up. We are not an enforcement agency that will go to school and start saying that, look, you must do this. But I know that we have a very robust relationship with the Ministry of Education to monitor this, to ensure that these minimum standards adhere to. For instance, in school, there should be a security committee. There should be somebody that you can contact in case of there's any problem. There's always first aid box. There's always all those things that they are always in place to ensure that the minimum standards set up are complied with. But I also know that ministries monitor their schools. At times too, and for private schools, of course, the ministry will also have to. They are also doing that, because when you don't have these minimum standards, it's either you are not registered, or your registration is not renewed, because there's a routine inspection to look at. We have given them the checklist. Is this available? Is there a fence? Is there this? Is there that? Now, there are some of these things that are very huge for individual schools to deal with. For instance, there is no way you can sanction a principal because he has not fenced his school. So that one will be done by the state government. And that's why I said, I also thought of it at the time that, look, particularly for schools in rural areas, if you don't have money to do concrete things, you can start this bio-fencing, and probably in the nearest future, when you have enough money to buy blocks and do your fencing, you can still do it. In fact, you can remove the sticks, or you also join the two together. It will just be a reinforcement. But I can assure you that ministries are monitoring their schools. Again, you cannot start monitoring school from Abuja and you want to go to one local government or primary school that is under local government. No, but the local inspector of education has that responsibility to move around and see how these minimum standards are being put in place.
When you observe the security, you cannot enforce the law. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. If it's a threat, we neutralize the threat. But there are certain things that you cannot enforce. For instance, now, I cannot sanction a school that is not fenced. But because you are not fenced, I'm closing down this school. So these are the type that I'm talking about. But I can say that, look, it is compulsory for you that you have a security committee in place. Like when you are doing registration of school, there's a space there that will say, put the phone number of a contact person, either the principal or vice principal or somebody in charge of committee. Your school cannot be registered without that number. It's one of the conditions. There's no way you can force a school to go and hire security guards, because you are not going to be the one that will be paying the salaries. So these are the things that I'm talking about. Those that are basic, minimum standard, basic, you can enforce it in conjunction with the Ministry of Education. But those that are huge, for instance, when you want to fence all schools in Nigeria today, those that have not been fenced, you'll be talking about putting close to probably more than ₦1 trillion. There's something anybody can do about that. For instance, like road safety, you cannot go and start tarring road because accidents are being caused by bad road. So, but those basic things, if you don't fasten your belt, your seat belt is part of the security that I want to enforce. That those safety will also insist that you must, because that one will not cost you anything. So, to have security committee in a school, to have a simple first aid box, to have people that can give information, contact number, they are basic things that they are part of the minimum standard a school should have. Those ones can be enforced. But the huge one like fencing, we can only keep on trying to advocate and appealing and let them see the dangers in not doing it.
We talked about Google Maps earlier. When every school is geotagged or geolocated on your website. Yeah. So what other technological tools do you adopt in enhancing school safety and security?
Yeah, it is ongoing. Where we are actually going is to also go to a situation where we will deploy cameras. Deploy cameras that we can watch from our command and control room, whatever is happening in a place. China has deployed over 4 million cameras across their countries. Not necessarily for schools to be safe, but for the community to be safe. Because if the community are safe, the schools will be secure. We are already interacting with those people who are very fast in technology, and they're also linking us with whatever resources they have available to ensure you can watch anywhere you want to watch, from the control room, and you can also deploy accordingly. Now, where you cannot deploy human being immediately, you can deploy drones if it is necessary, but you will deploy drones when it is very, very necessary. You cannot just see bullying in one school now, or you see some people that are fighting or whatever, and you are deploying drones. No. What we are saying is that there's no way you can really do this security thing, not only for school, for anything, effectively in this modern day without technology. So we are deploying technology. There is what we call N-Alert. It belongs to the Ministry of Interior. For instance, you can go to Google Play Store and download it. When you download N-Alert, if there's anything that you want people to know, you could just be an observer. We have been watching so many things on social media that the people will be clashing and they will be recording it without anybody seeing them. So your N-Alert platform can also do that for us in command and control room. The civil defense has also developed one software now that they call integrated arrest system. It will soon be deployed that when it is given to you, just a click on your phone will alert us at the command and control center. So I can only say that for now we are really working on the use of technology to ease our operations, and nobody can really do without deployment of technology these days.
How the NSSRCC in measuring the effectiveness of its activities in schools?
We have a way of measuring how impactful what we are doing is. We don't just go to a place and just deliver lecture and interact with them and leave them there. We also still go back to the place. We also ask them to contact us at interval. If they will just tell us that we just want to say that we are okay. Now we have two lines. We have 09131 232323. Then we have 09132 232323. That any Nigerian, either you are calling from school or from anywhere, can reach to us at any time. So when we any school that we have gone to deliver lecture, we drop these numbers with them, and we ask them to be contacting us at least once in a week, once in 2 weeks, to also update us on whatever is going on. And if there's any way they want us to come and still build their capacity in certain areas, that we'll be ready to also come back. Then when we go to a school where we have delivered our lectures, we have also built our capacity, and as we are entering, we are now saying that, oh, this school, they now have a muster point which they didn't have before. Then we feel that we are really making impact. Or when we get to a school where children have been opening gates for us before, we discover that we have to wait until an adult comes around to open the gate. Then we know that they have listened to us very well. Again, get to a school where or we observe in the street and we discover that we have not been seeing children with their name written boldly the back of their bags. We feel that yes, this is also good for us. So when parents also see that their children come back home and start correcting them on certain issues, they say, hey, you go and open that door. Say, our teacher has told us that it is adult that should be opening door. It is a way of measuring our impact on these children in school. And when we know that, if we know that we have been to a certain area where we have built capacities, and then we still see them do some of these infractions, then we have to also again go there and remind them. And of course, from what we hear from our on those two lines, because you just see people calling him to say that, good afternoon, is that National Safe School Response Coordinator? That we say yes. So I just want to inform you that I've successfully registered my school now, because many of them also didn't know how to register the school. We have been going there to tell them this is what you do, this is what you do. So when we see people calling us to say that, look, I've been able to register my school, those are the feedbacks that we have been getting, and then we are happy with it.
We see talking about measures or the success of the activities. I wanted to ask if you coordinate with the National Bureau of Statistics in gathering data from every state in Nigeria. You have a way of gathering data to determine that these states are safer than others or something like that. Is there any such in place?
Well, for now, we have our statistics, but we have not been comparing it with what NBS is doing. But it could be an idea that we should collaborate with them to also measure the impact. But for now, don't forget that I said that it was late last year that these operations began. So we maybe the next, from this our discussion now, maybe we will also start thinking of, the need for us to collaborate with them and see how impactful that our efforts are, and from them by also using their own figures to measure our performance.
What are the major challenges facing the NSSRCC in achieving its mission?
One of the challenges around this is security and consciousness of our people. Our people are not really security conscious. We are aware there's security. There's no doubt about the security awareness, but consciousness is still very, very low. The major difference is that when you are aware that there's an insecurity situation, what you should do is what we call, the kind of consciousness. Now, up till now, you still see people in their failures. They still behave the same way. They don't. In fact, they enter vehicles. They don't know who they enter vehicles with. They are at the location. They sit down. They don't know who is sitting beside or behind them. It doesn't bother them. They don't know. You see people still walk on the road instead of being vigilant. They are still typing on their phone. I want to talk about the need for bureaucracy in taking permission to do this and that. I told you, federal government does not hold all schools in Nigeria. There are some there are so many belong to the state and local governments. So when you get there, they are asking you to come and take permission from others. But I said the Minister of Education had written all governors in Nigeria of what we are doing, but I think that one is being addressed now. So there may be no problem of that bureaucracy again. Again, initially when we started, people thought that we are asking for the schools in order to impose taxes. So they don't want to come up because they think it is for taxation. So we keep on advocating that registering your school is free of charge, and it's not going to lead to any taxation. Again, when you are recommending that a school should be shifted from a place, that you should move children from that place, some people will have the erroneous impression that the federal government is trying to take their land from them, so that some people will come and occupy it. That is why you want to move their school from that place. Now, the huge one is the issue of we just talked about technology now. Technology is not cheap. It is going to run into millions of naira. Deploying cameras all over is going to cost a lot of money. So it's a huge challenge that we are still battling with. The only good thing about this is that the federal government is willing to ensure that this school safe program is pursued to a logical conclusion. Another issue is the issue of even network. The communication providers, they have not really covered the entire Nigeria. I give you the example of Kuriga, where there was no network and help couldn't call in time. In Ekiti, when they kidnapped some people inside vehicles and all that the other time, network went bad. None of the service providers could restore network until about 2-3 hours later. So help couldn't come in time. So it means that safe school projects cannot really rely on network providers alone. We have to have our own system of communication. Again, that is huge. That will also mean that we are going to start establishing base stations and all that, so that we can link ourselves with what is necessary. So these are the things that we are confronting, but they are also they are not insurmountable. For instance, the federal government is actually putting resources together to ensure that there is ease of communication. Again, you cannot, the issue of personnel, every agency has been complaining of not having enough men to man, even what we have been doing before, not to now talk of adding school safety to it. So that one, the federal government is only trying to say, okay, they're going to increase the number of people to be recruited into various services so that they can be very useful when there is time for that. Of course, part of it is it's not only enough to know what is happening somewhere. There's also the need for you to move to that place. So the issue of equipment, vehicles, motorcycles, boats, and all that. For instance, when we want to register schools that are in marine areas, civil defense have been using the boat. Some of the boat that is meant for some other, that are meant for some other operations, are the one that we have been using to take our desk officers to schools on water to get them registered. So there's need for a lot of equipment for safe school projects, including equipment that facilitates mobility and all that. So these are the few things that have been the challenges which we have been confronting.
What are the future plans and goals of the NSSRCC improving school safety in Nigeria?
Those things that I've been talking about, they are embedded in what you ask now. For instance, I'm talking about our future. We are going to rely heavily on technology. In the future, we are going to have more equipment. We are going to have what we're going to call forward operating bases, FOBs, that instead of having 1 or 2 stations in the whole state, we'll have as many as we can. Then we are going to deploy a lot of technology, particularly cameras, that if anything is happening anywhere, we'll be able to also see it and know that. Our future, our main aim in the future is to make every student that passes through any school in Nigeria to become security conscious. In fact, it will help security agencies in their recruitment. Instead of putting 100 people on the road and they say they should run, and we are now picking the fastest runner, we will have developed security culture in our children, that they will know whether they want to be a security operative or they want to be something else. if you have this consciousness as a look, I know how to handle the issue of rape. I know how to handle the issue of kidnapping. I am interested in, when I grow old, I want to really go into these cybercrime issues. They would have made up their mind before they would leave secondary school and go to the university and all that. So when you want to recruit, when you are doing interview, you also see from what they are saying that this person is, has culture of security, rather than recruiting people who are just joining security forces because they don't have job. Many people are not interested in what they are doing. They only join because they don't have job. So, but that time we will now have people who are really interested in joining, security agency of their choice. When they know this is what the police is doing, this is what they do in the army, this is what they do in the navy, this is what civil defense does, this is what they do in immigration. Because part of what we are also telling them is to identify, real that are genuine security operatives with their uniforms. They are part of the curriculum. I mean, they are part of those term in the monograph, and the functions of the security, so that you know who to approach when there is a problem. Because at times something will happen, you will go and report to one security agency, they will tell you that no, that is not our area, we are in charge of this. So as a kid, you would have known it as you are growing up, not that it is when you become an adult. Since we can have, under 30 footballers, we have under 17 footballers, we have under this and that boxers and all that. So why shouldn't we have people who will be conscious of security? If you are able to do that, then you become interested in, providing security for your nation. Nobody will be dragging you, or nobody will ask you to run. Just based on your physical strength, then they will start, getting you recruited. It will be based on your intellectual capacity to handle security issues. That's the future that we're looking at, that people will develop security culture and to help us as a nation.
Thank you very much, sir. We now with Dr. Hammed Abodunrin, the commander of the National State Home Response Coordination Center, NSSRCC, and the National Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. And we'll be discussing school safety in Nigeria. And thank you very much for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
You can check out our website, educeleb.com, for more on school safety and other related information as it relates to the education sector. Until next time, I remain the host, Abdulsalam. Bye for now.